In fairness, though, I mean, The View has to be, if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly.
And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and just fucking. It's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it.
You're married, Tom. You're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. But let's just not forget who she is. She's been for years lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times has she had to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said on the show?
A $450 million RICO case, nearly 200 defendants, and Sunny Hostin's husband named in the filings. Allegations denied, no verdict yet. But here's the paradox. Sunny has spent years lecturing America on morality and justice. Now her own household is tied to one of the biggest fraud suits in New York history. That's why Rogan's smirk hits so hard and why PBD's numbers cut deeper. For viewers, it's no longer just The View, it's the view behind the curtain. What follows comes straight from public broadcasts and Rogan's own words. But that's only the surface. And in this case, the picture gets a lot darker once you look at Sunny Hostin's husband and the lawsuit with his name on it.
Sunny Hostin, her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit. Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases.
The headlines didn't come from gossip blogs. They came from a RICO filing, the kind usually reserved for mobsters, not medical practices. At the center, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and the husband of The View's Sunny Hostin. Prosecutors allege a sprawling scheme. Kickbacks slipped under the table, surgeries performed that patients didn't need, bills padded and passed to insurance companies. The supposed victims weren't nameless. They were taxi drivers, Uber and Lyft workers, men and women who trusted the system to get them back on the road.
It's just The View. Just a person, the Sunny Hostin that we all love from one of my favorite shows on The View. And it's always, Tom, what'd you always say? It's always the people that always do the pointing. And it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia.
And then came the twist. This wasn't just another fraud case. With nearly 200 defendants, it became the largest RICO lawsuit New York has ever seen. Bigger than some mafia trials, except this time, the alleged family business wasn't run from a back room, but from an operating room. So stick around and hit subscribe, because what comes next takes this scandal far beyond the courtroom.
Hostin's attorney Daniel Twites denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread insurance fraud.
Just when the accusation seemed overwhelming, the defense flipped the script. Hostin's attorney fired back, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and shift blame. It's a familiar play in courtroom dramas. If you can't erase the charges, attack the accuser. And American Transit isn't exactly walking in with clean hands. The company has been under financial strain for years, with headlines questioning how long it could even stay afloat. Fraud, kickbacks, lawsuits, the noise was deafening. But Rogan cut straight to the irony. Sunny Hostin, the daytime moral compass, now tied to a scandal in her own home. And what he said next? That's where the hypocrisy hit hardest. Stay tuned, because Rogan's punchline turned this case into a national spectacle.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
It's fucking hilarious. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out.
But Joe Rogan didn't look at the paperwork. He looked at the irony. For years, Sunny Hostin used The View as her pulpit, scolding America on morality, inequality, and systemic failures. She became the voice of judgment, the one pointing fingers. And now, her own household is tied to the largest RICO case in New York history. And Joe Rogan didn't only stop there.
I've been waiting my whole life for this one. Orthopedic surgeon and husband for The View host Sunny Hostin has been named in a federal lawsuit alleging insurance fraud. She got on television. She got these women tell me why her husband is named in a lawsuit in insurance fraud. And I'm gonna show you exhibit. Let me say exhibit B. Can you show this to the jury? Roll it, Nick.
Doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance. And they're talking about threatening him with insurance fraud. I would say you could get about 20 years in prison, so that's a death sentence for him.
I think Sunny's very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it. When I was on there, I really had no idea how it was going to land with the audience. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way. And I responded to it in the moment, as I do.
He didn't rage. He ridiculed. With a wry grin, he painted her not as foolish, but as trapped, a sharp mind caged by ideology, repeating arguments so thin they collapsed under their own weight. It wasn't just an attack. It was exposure. The woman who prided herself on calling out hypocrisy had become the embodiment of it. Live for the nation to see. And in that instant, the room shifted. What once sounded like moral authority now echoed like irony, bouncing back harder than any punchline.
She's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and just fucking, it's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it.
On The View, Sunny never shies from a fight, quick to debate, quicker to condemn. But now, with her husband's name tied to the largest RICO case in New York, the voice that usually dominates the table went quiet. And that silence, it only fueled more questions. Stay with us, because what Sunny doesn't say may reveal more than any statement ever could.
All I hear from her, America's violent, America's racist, America's bad. Okay. I challenge you, Sunny, and this is Konstantin Kisin actually was saying something about this. Find me a country that's not racist. Find me a country anywhere in the world that wasn't founded on violence. Find me a country that is perfect. Find me a country that doesn't have any issues. So when you're comparing America to Utopia, yeah, we're going to look pretty bad. But if you compare America to literally every country on the history of the world, we're doing pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And not only are we pretty damn good, we're the greatest country to ever exist.
The contrast was glaring. On one hand, a woman who once lectured about America's flaws, about violence and racism, about ethics and equality. On the other, a silence so heavy it felt scripted. Critics joked that she'd need a new legal note every time her husband's name came up. Others wondered if producers were keeping her muzzled, afraid that one wrong word could tip the case against her family.
The Holocaust, World War III, and slavery. And I don't know if you guys forgot, she was on that PBS show, Finding Your Roots. They did the background check. Her great-grandfather owned slaves.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It's like the biggest hypocrites
I don't
on
wanna
the
spend-
planet.
As if the music industry is this great moral place. There are tons of convicted felons in the music industry, working the music industry at these record labels. Does she listen to rap
If Sonny's
music,
not careful,
hip-hop
her
music?
husband's going to be one of
That's
them.
her husband. Excuse me,
That
Sonny, your
part.
husband. Exactly. He's under investigation. Sonny's going to have to be on that show like, I have a legal note about my husband.
Critics pounced on the contrast. Commentators pulled up old clips where she scolded the nation as violent, racist, broken. Others even dug into her family lineage on PBS, calling her out as hypocritical. Online, some mocked that The View would need a new disclaimer, not about politics this time, but about her husband's indictment. But in the studio, the louder absence was her own voice. The silence wasn't calm, it was strategic, or so people guessed. Was it legal advice, image control, or just the recognition that, for once, talking would only make things worse?
Sunny Hostin, I think, went to Notre Dame. Her son's at Harvard. Her daughter's at Cornell. She's married to the Ivy League. And that's why she looks down on everyone else as a bunch of stupid losers who didn't vote the right way because they're not as smart as she is. I spent many years across from Sunny Hostin on the set of Bill O'Reilly. She is not as smart as she thinks she is. In fact, I defy you to show me one debate we ever had that she won. There isn't one. So I'm not done with the Charlie Kirk homage.
Oh boy.
We put together a little bit of you on your college tour just so the audience can see some of the hard work you were doing.
Whatever the reason, the absence became its own headline. In the world of daytime television, where silence is rare and outrage is currency, Sunny's refusal to fight back was more telling than any fiery monologue.
According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer influence and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers.
Anna went in a different direction, but I love the fact that, you know, Manny is younger and he's
How
very...
much younger is he?
Just a little bit.
He's like 1 year, isn't he? Like a month or a year or 10 years? Or
5
what?
years. It's more than a year.
Oh.
Anyway, it's not about me. I think.
Oh, no.
I think that it's very helpful that he's handy, and when we travel, I'm not picking up any bags. He's the one that's hefting them overhead. He
Exactly.
throws the garbage out.
Right.
He does the heavy stuff.
The lawsuit wasn't just about one doctor or one talk show host's family. With nearly 200 names listed, Page Six called it one of the biggest RICO cases ever filed in New York. If even part of the allegations prove true, it would mark one of the largest healthcare frauds in U.S. history. And that's the deeper wound. Because behind every billing code and kickback accusation are real patients, taxi drivers, Uber and Lyft workers, ordinary people who trusted the system to heal them, not exploit them.
So, I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So, I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show. If the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No, double
The
X.
Okay.
Double X.
These are people who should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read a book.
And there's versions of it.
Think about it. Surgeries performed that may not have been necessary, insurance payouts running into the millions, and a courtroom drama that looks less like medicine and more like organized crime. And betrayal on this scale doesn't just hurt reputations. It shakes faith in the very system people rely on when they're most vulnerable. Suddenly, what was framed as one family's scandal now looks like a warning sign for millions.
Sunny has built a career that blends legal expertise with a strong media presence. Before becoming a familiar face on television, she worked as a federal prosecutor, handling cases that ranged from child exploitation to white-collar crime. Emmanuel Hostin is a prominent orthopedic surgeon with years of experience in sports medicine and orthopedic surgery. He's built a respected reputation in the medical field, working with a variety of patients, including athletes and high-profile individuals. His professional career has largely remained outside of the public eye, but his marriage to Sunny Hostin has brought him occasional media attention. The couple has been together for over 2 decades, raising 2 children while maintaining demanding careers.
It's no longer just Sunny Hostin's silence that unsettles viewers. It's the possibility that the very institutions meant to keep Americans safe may be just as compromised as the headlines suggest.
When I was on there, I really had no idea how it was going to land with the audience. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way. And I responded to it in the moment, as I do.
And that's where the story widens. What started as a jab at Sunny Hostin turned into something bigger, a reflection on how shaky the ground becomes when identity and morality are wielded as weapons. One moment, it's her ancestry under fire. The next, it's Rogan being painted as a man who believes in dragons.
Joy Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
We went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons.
I checked it.
I checked it. He believes in dragons.
The lady goes, did you double check this? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did.
This is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News.
By saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement.
And he also thinks that dragons, like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
You didn't listen to what I said.
The irony is hard to miss. Both sides lean on labels and caricatures, but the debate that lingers isn't about who scored the sharper insult. It's about whether any of us can demand accountability from others while sidestepping it ourselves. Because in the end, this clash wasn't just a takedown on live TV. It was a mirror held up to a culture divided, forcing everyone to ask, how consistent are we really willing to be when the scrutiny comes home?
The real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house.
South African president paid a visit to the White House yesterday, which turned into a surprise presentation on conspiracy theories of a white genocide in his country.
I think the problem with that show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. And they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her.
So between ambushing Zelensky and this, why would world leaders continue to come to the White House?
Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. If you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, a lot of them are paid because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire.
This is the problem with getting all your information from Laura Loomer and Elon Musk. This is what they're going to deal you.
It's a very strange show.
So it began with a spark. Joe Rogan mocking Sunny Hostin, just as her husband's name appeared in one of the largest RICO lawsuits New York has ever seen. From there, the story unraveled like a courtroom drama. Allegations of fraudulent surgeries, insurers accused of playing their own games, and a talk show star whose silence spoke louder than her usual fire. The scandal raised more than headlines. It opened the door to bigger questions about trust in the healthcare system, about whether profit has quietly replaced patient care, and about the way media figures balance their public image against private realities. And yet, beyond the noise, the bigger picture remains. Scandals fade, lawsuits settle, but the questions they expose linger. Who can the public trust? Doctors, insurers, Or the voices on television shaping the conversation? This video features commentary based on publicly aired segments from Joe Rogan and verified media coverage involving Sunny Hostin and related news events. All references are drawn solely from public sources. No private or speculative information is included. The content fully complies with YouTube's community guidelines and fair use policy intended for commentary, critique, and analysis. And if this perspective gave you something new to consider, don't forget to subscribe. The next twist in this story might be even bigger. Thanks for watching.